Hi everyone, this is Ashwin. In this video, we're going to analyze the dataset Black Friday sales. So this is a regression problem. We are going to find out what is the purchase amount based on the attributes we are given. Now let's see the dataset information. This dataset comprises of sales transactions captured at a retail store. It is a classic dataset to explore and expand your feature engineering skills and day-to-day understanding from multiple shopping experiences. This is a regression problem and the dataset has 5 lakh rows and 12 columns. So the problem is to predict the purchase amount of the sales. So these are the attributes we have. So we have 12 attributes, 11 are input attributes, and the last one, purchase, is the output attribute we need to find. So the first one is user ID, that is the unique ID of the customer. So each customer has a unique ID. And the second one is product ID, unique product ID. It's the ID of the product. And you can also see data type and masked. Data type represents the type of the data that the column has, and masked is used for hiding the data information. So let's say for occupation, the masked is true. So it won't mention the customer's occupation, and city category is also masked. So the city category won't be mentioned in a plain text. That's the use of mask. Masking the data is useful for anonymize the data set. So the personal information of the users won't be available to the public. That's the main advantage of using masked dataset. And we also won't be facing any type of problems in the future. Okay, the third one is gender. This is for the customers and the age of the customer, occupation. Each customer has an occupation code. Let's say a customer is a IT specialist or a driver or a salesperson, like that. Each occupation has a unique code to it. So based on that, they categorized a few occupations. And city category, I think the city category will represent urban, rural, or semi-urban, like that. They can have a different categories in cities. Stay in current city years, number of years of stay in city. So this represents the number of years the customers stayed in that particular city. So if they have stayed for more number of years means it's like similar to the native place. Marital status, that have married or unmarried, and product category 1, 2, 3. Each product has some different categories. So they have categorized the product in 3 categories. So like that, they have subcategorized each category. If they have a category means we will have some unique code for it. And if you don't have a category means we will be having some null values. We also need to check that. And the last one is purchase, the total amount that the customer spent. So that is the purchase amount. Based on this attribute information, we need to predict the purchase amount. That's the overall objective of this problem. Okay, let's import the modules. As usual, we need to import all the basic modules. Let's import it quickly. Import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP, import seaborn as SNS, import matplotlib.pyplot. Don't forget this pyplot or else you will be facing some errors. And lastly, import warnings. We need to set the warnings. Before that, matplotlib.inline. And lastly, warnings dot filter warnings. Let's say ignore. You have multiple warning types. You can also see which to use. And let's run this. Okay, the modules are loading. It will take some time. Okay, all the modules are loaded. Let's import the dataset. df equals pd dot read CSV. Based on the type of file you have, you need to change the module. If you have an Excel file means you need to use read Excel. Like that, it will change. So I have train.csv. Let's display the head. Run this. Okay, these are the attributes we have. And I already mentioned some of the product categories have null values. We will replace with some values here. Okay. We can explore all the categories and what are the objects there. We can explore it in exploratory data analysis by using some visualization techniques. Let's do the basic exploration or overview. df dot describe, run this. So we have user ID, occupation, marital status. You can see the total count of the whole data, and we have product category, and you can see some of the product categories are missing here. It has less count compared to this product category one. So we can assume this is the main category and these are the subcategories. Like that we can assume. And these are only the numerical part. There are some categorical parts also. We need to convert those categories using one-hot encoding or label encoding. We can see it later. And let's say the data type objects. So df dot info, run this. So user ID is integer, and apart from that, these objects are some categories. You can indicate this object data type or categories, and you can see product category 1 is integer and product category 2 and 3 is float. You can change the data type if you want, or else you can use the same data type as it is. So it doesn't matter. You can consider these three as a label encoded data. We will comment this for better usage. Statistical info, and this is data type info, data type info. Let's explore how many unique values the dataset has. Find unique values. So df dot apply lambda x len of x dot unique. So this is a lambda function. We can also call it as anonymous function or inline function. It will be very useful in most of the problems you are facing. Okay, let's complete this. Run this. Okay, these are the unique values we have on that particular attribute. So we have 5,891 unique customers, and we have 3,631 products. We have two genders, that is male and female. Age category that are split into 7 types. So that is younger, older, in between, so many categories are there. Occupation, so they categorized to 21 unique occupation. This is just a category of that particular field the person is working. That's why the occupation is low. If you consider each occupation as a separate attribute means obviously it will go higher. That's why I think they mask the occupation as the corresponding field. This is just my assumption. You can make your assumptions, and based on that you can solve the problem. City category, 3 types, and I think rural, urban, and semi-urban is the city category. Stay in current city years, so up to 5 years, that is the maximum, I guess. Maybe 5 plus years is also another attribute. We will see that. And marital status is to single or married. Product categories, they categorize the products for 20, 18, and 16. So these are the unique categories. Lastly, the purchase amount. So this is a regression problem. So the amount will be a continuous variable, and that is the unique values and the overview of the problem. Let's go to the exploratory data analysis. Let's leave some space because we need to do so many exploratory data analysis. First, let's do the distplot for the attribute purchase. Distplot for purchase. We will change the style of the chart so it will be clear. You can use this style in many of your problems, or you can just follow this style. It is very much clear comparatively. So plot dot style dot use 538, and you need to change the figure also. Plot dot figure fig size, because it will be small if you print it by default. Let's say 13 comma 7, and the displot. SNS dot displot df of purchase and bins equals 25. Okay, let's run this now. Okay, I missed a T. Run it again. Okay, this is the displot we have. So in the x-axis, we have the amount purchased, and in the y-axis, the number of buyers. So you can see here, there is a normal distribution. Here, there is a separate graph is forming. If you consider as a whole, it's almost forming a uniform distribution. So there are not much of a outlier or anything. You can see the purchase amount is bigger. If you want to decrease the error further, means you can convert this purchase amount into log transformation or min-max normalization, anything you want. The objective is to convert this overall purchase amount into some smaller values. You can do this as an exercise. I will do it as it is. Okay, that's it for amount distribution. Let's go to the next one. Let's see the distribution of other variables. Distribution of numeric variables. Let's see what are the variables we have. The first one is gender, age. Okay, let's display it. SNS dot count plot df of gender. Run this. So in our data set, most of the purchasers or customers are male, and only the minority is female. In Black Friday sales, men are purchasing more than the women. If we consider clothing or other shopping categories, obviously the female ratio will be higher. Because of Black Friday, this is mostly related to any categories, but it's mostly related to the tech category. That's why the male gender is higher. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's copy this, paste it. This is age, and this. So here we have multiple age categories. 0 to 17, 55 plus, 46 to 50, 51 to 55 or less category, because these are some youngsters or the elderly people. Obviously, they will purchase way less comparative to the other categories, that is 26 to 35, 18 to 25, 36 to 45. These are the people that are working in the current, and they are purchasing more during the sales. Okay, let's go to the next one. Marital status, run this. So here we have only 0 and 1. So one is single and the other one is married. I think 0 is single because in Black Friday sales, most of the tech gadgets are bought by the youngsters. Obviously, they will be single. I think that's why the majority is higher for 0 and it is 1. The ratio is not that much different. So we can get an assumption from this. Okay, let's go to the occupation. Occupation, run it. So we have various number of occupations here, and only 8 is comparatively lower than all the other categories. If you want, you can ignore this particular attribute if you want, because this is comparatively way lesser than this categories, that is 70,000 plus for occupation 4. Still, this occupation attribute may directly affects the purchase amount, because if the people working in that field are richer, means the purchase amount will be obviously higher. That's the inference I'm getting from this attribute. Okay, the other 3 is product category. So I'll just do this quickly. Product category 1, product category 2, and product category 3. Okay, let's run this. These are the 3 categories we have. So the majority of the products are in the category 1, 5, and 8. And you can see 9 and 17 are just way few items comparative to the other categories. You can also ignore these categories or combine these lower categories into a single category It will greatly reduce the complexity of the problem. Let's go to the product category 2. Here you can see the values are in float. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, like that it's going. You can convert this float values into integer, or you can convert this into a one-hot encoding. And here also you can see product category number 8 and 2 is higher and 14 is also higher. That is, this is somewhat different than the product category 1. Let's see the product category 3. Here also it is in float values. It also goes up to 18. And here the product category or varies here 14 to 17 or higher number of counts comparatively to the other categories. Okay, we have city category, run it. So we have three types of city. So here I can guess which category belongs to urban, rural or semi-urban. Maybe I can say B is urban because more number of people living in urban. It depends on the state they got the data. So I can't assume. So it's reasonable number. So it's not that much varying like this categories. So it is way much higher and the difference is huge here, but here it is negligible. So we don't need to worry about this. And lastly, stay in city. Yes. Okay, this is also a category 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus. 4 plus may go up to 5 to 6 or 8 years. It depends. But most of the people are staying in the city for 1 year, maybe based on the data collected. More number of people are living in that particular city. Apart from that, all the remaining categories are in the uniform distribution. All the values are in the range of 75,000 to 1 lakh. So it's not a problem. Only this is like a major difference. I think more number of people will purchase if they stay in the current city for at least 1 year. So far we have done the univariate analysis, that is using only a single variable. Let's use two variables to do some analysis. Let's leave some space. This is called bivariate analysis. Bivariate analysis. Using two attributes, we will analyze the data set. First, based on the occupation, we will analyze the data set with respect to the purchase amount, that is the result. So occupation underscore plot equals df dot pivot table index equals occupation. So this will be the x-axis and values equals purchase. This will be the y-axis and aggregate function. So based on the aggregate function, the value varies. I'm going to use mean of each occupation and occupation plot dot plot kind is bar plot. So you can change the kind also if you want. Figure size equals 13, 7. And you can also mention the labels and legend. Let's mention it for now. X label. So the x-axis is occupation. So occupation, now plot dot y label, that is purchase, and plot dot title occupation and purchase analysis. Maybe we can change it to capital A. Plot dot show. Let's run this. So we have a chart here. This is a good pictorial representation. We have the title, x-axis and y-axis. Even in the previous chart also, you can change the x-axis and y-axis. So this is like a representation that you want to present in front of others. So I recommend you use this labels. Here you can see the labels are rotated. we will rotate it to 0 degree. Plot dot xdix rotation equals 0. Let's run this again. Now the labels are rotated. So based on these labels, we can observe all the categories are purchasing in the average manner. So this is using the mean. For each category, the mean is in the uniform distribution. If you change the function mp.sum, run this. Here you can see the same previous chart like we see earlier. So this is almost similar to this chart. So let's change it to mean. So this is a different way of analysis. We are getting some new insights using the mean of that particular category. So this is almost in the uniform manner. You can also do the analysis for other variables. I'll just use some majority of the variables like 1 or 2. I will do it for age and gender. Let's copy this, paste it, say age, age. This is also age. You need to change everything. I think we have changed all the things. Let's run this. Here age also has a uniform count. So let's do it for gender. Gender. Let's copy this so it will be easy for us. Gender, gender. Okay, let's run this now. It is also in the uniform manner. Again, if you change the aggregation function to some other value means it will change. So this is the chart we have seen earlier. So let's change it to mean. So this is the analysis we have. Here also, we have a slight difference here. Other than that, most of the categories are in the uniform manner only. So this is the bivariate analysis. You can do this plot for all the remaining variables if you want with different values also apart from purchase. Okay, that's it for exploratory data analysis. Let's do the pre-processing. First, as usual, we need to check for null values. Check for null values. Df dot is null dot sum. Run this. So we have null values for product category 2 and product category 3. Before that, we will fill the null category. So using some mean, median or mode. So here, if you don't know how to fill the null values means you can fill it like this. Df of product category 2 equals df of product category 2 dot fill na. You need to give the number as an argument. I will say minus 2.0 dot as type. You already know that is the product category 2 and 3 is in a float format. So I will say float 32. Let's copy this and paste it for product category 3. If you don't know what needs to be filled as a missing values means you can represent a negative number to fill the missing values. So the machine learning model will know it is like a missing value. So these kinds of representations you can use if you don't know what to be filled in the missing values. So let's run this. And I think the missing values will be cleared. Let's double check it. So all the missing values are filled. Let's leave some space. And now we need to convert these categorical columns into numerical attributes. For gender, we have F and M that represents female and male. We need to convert this into numerical ones. Usually we will use label encoder, but here I'm going to use dictionary to change the categorical columns. You can also use in your future projects. Maybe for one category, I will just use dictionary, and for the rest of them, I will use label encoding. So this will be encoding values using dict. gender dict equals a dictionary F represents 0 and M represents 1. Now df of gender equals df of gender dot apply lambda. I already mentioned this before. Lambda x gender dict of x. So df of gender will have the values f and m. So it will be passed to this function. So x is the argument. So the value will be the argument. So f is passed to gender dict. Gender dict of f is 0. So it will return that value. After that, if you see the gender column means it will be zeros and ones. Okay, let's run it. For example, as you can see here, gender is 0 and 1. So these are all females and this is male. Like this, you can change all the values using this dictionary. I will just use label encoding for these values, so it will be much quicker. So label encoding columns that needs to be converted. So what are the columns we have? Gender is already converted. So we have age, city category. Let's just copy and paste this. It will be easy. And stay in city years. You can think this is an integer, but we have 4 plus. This is a string variable or object. So we need to convert this also. Okay. And the marital status is 0 or 1. Product category, product categories. Okay. These are the 3 columns we need to convert. Okay, we need to import the module from sklearn.preprocessing import label encoder. Now LE equals label encoder. Now we need to convert all the columns. So for categorization, I'm just using label encoding. You can also use one-hot encoding. It will just increase the number of columns, but also it will improve accuracy. So I'll just mention here to improve the metric, use one-hot encoding. So it may increase the accuracy or decrease the error just 1%. It depends on the data set, but it will definitely improve comparative to label encoding. What is the major disadvantages? It will take more time to train the model because of increased number of columns. So for each category, it will create a new column. That's why I'm just using label encoding. That is simple and quicker. Okay, let's convert this for call in calls. Df of call equals le dot fit transform df of call. Okay, after this, let's display the head. Let's run this. Okay, we have converted all the categories into a numerical value, so the machine learning model can process it. And for the input, we need to remove this user ID and product ID. It won't represent and give much information while training the model. And if you use this information means the model will be biased to this particular user ID or the product ID. So we don't want that. We need to generalize the model so it can work well when the new data comes to the model. Okay, that is for pre-processing we have done. Now the correlation matrix. Now core equals df.core as usual. And now we need to display the heat map. SNS.heatmap, heatmap, correlation not equals true to display the values, and CMap equals cool warm. Run this. Okay, we have so many values here. Okay, let's increase the plot size. Plot dot figure fig size equals, let's increase the size to 14, comma 7. Now we can see all the values clearly. Okay, here we can see a change in values. I think the change is much higher here. Product category 1 and purchase is much correlated, and it is also much correlated with the product category 3. I think both are somewhat similar. And apart from that, we have some positive correlation between marital status and age. I don't know what will be the correlation. I think the youngsters single category may be correlated with the age category that is in between 10 to 25. Maybe that's the correlation it's finding. Apart from that, other categories have not that much correlation, so we don't need to worry. And lastly, product category 3 also some positive correlation to the purchase. So product category has some impact to the target variable. So that's the observing I am getting from this correlation matrix. Okay, let's go for the train test split. We will change this as input split. Maybe I need to change this by default. Okay, now for splitting the input, before that we will display the whole data set to see what is there. So these are the data we have. X equals df dot drop columns. We need to drop a few columns. So the first one is user ID. So it should not be biased. I'll just copy and paste this to avoid any errors. After that, the product ID, and lastly, the output variable, that is the purchase. So purchase. Now these are the input attributes. Obviously, the output attribute will be df of purchase. Run this. So we have the input and output attributes. Let's define our model here. We need to import a few modules as usual from sklearn.model selection. Import cross validation or cross-val score, and train test split. Apart from that, this is a regression model. We need to use some parameters to indicate the error. I will use mean squared error. So from sklearn.metrics, import mean squared error. We have various errors, mean absolute error, mean squared log error. I will use mean squared error. So this is like a standard metric most of the regression problems are using. So I'll use that. And def train model, input, and the output. So let's do the splitting here. Train test split x train comma x test y train comma y test equals train test split and the data set. So that is x, the input attribute, y, the output attribute, random state. I already mentioned the use of random state in the previous video. If you rerun the program again means it will split the data in the same manner. That's the use of random state. And test size equals 0.25. You can also use 0.30 or 0.20. It's your wish. This is like a percentage of test data set. Now we need to fit the model. Model dot fit x underscore train comma y underscore train. After fitting the model, we need to predict the results. So predict the results. So pred equals model dot predict x underscore test. So now we need to do cross validation. Let's go down further and let's leave some space also. Okay, now we have to do for cross validation. Cross validation CV score equals cross val score, the model, input attribute, output attribute, the scoring mechanism. Scoring is negative mean squared error. So it is almost same to mean squared error. Squared error and CV equals 5. So we will be splitting the data set into 5 folds. That's the meaning of this 5. You can also change the number if you want. Now after that we need to convert this CV score. So CV score equals NP dot absolute, because it will be in the negative values because of negative mean squared error. In the previous modules, it will be used as a mean squared error itself, but in the latest modules, they are using negative mean squared error. That's why I am converting it to a positive value, and we'll be having 5 scores based on the fold split. So that's why I'm going to take the mean of that 5 scores, np dot mean CV score. Now we have got the CV scores. We need to print the results. So print results. Now in the next line, print our model MSC. So MSC, comma, mean squared error of y test. So this is the actual values and prediction. This is the predicted value from the model we have trained. Now we need to display the CV score. So CV score, comma, CV score. So we have defined our whole model function. Run this. Okay, let's start displaying the basic models. The first is linear regression from sklearn dot linear model, import linear regression. Now model equals linear regression. In the argument, you need to use normalize because linear regression works well in the normalized data set. We didn't normalize much in the data set values. That's why I'm just using it here. Normalize equals true. So it will normalize the data set. And after that, we need to train the model, comma x, comma y. Now we need to display some coefficients in order to get some feature importance of that particular attributes for each model. For each model, the coefficients will vary. So for each model, it will take some attributes as an important parameter and some attributes are not. If you go for linear regressions, means it will take some attributes as an important ones. And if you go for some tree models, means it will take some other values as an important one. So for each model, it will change. So we can get some inference using this coefficients. So coef equals pd dot series model dot coef underscore x dot columns, comma, dot sort values. Now coef dot plot kind equals bar. We have done this in the previous project also. You can use the same code if you want. Title is model coefficients efficiency. Okay, let's run the code. Okay, we have got our model. Okay, the values are so much huge. And I actually checked it. It is root mean squared error. So we need to convert these values into a root value. That will be mp dot sqrt square root. And here also the same thing, sqrt. So that is the metric they are using in that particular contest. Let's run this. Run this again. Now we have some values here. We have MSE as 4617. I think that is a reasonable amount based on this basic model we have, that is linear regression. Let's see the features. As a positive feature, we have gender, city category, and product category. In the negative term, we have product category 1 and marital status. If you use Ridge and Lasso means they will display the model categories maybe further. It will neglect these small categories. That's the advantages of using Ridge or Lasso. If you want, you can also use that models. I'll just go to the tree models directly. Now from sklearn dot tree import decision tree regressor, again model equals decision tree regressor, train model comma x and y. Here also we need to use this graph. Here it is named as features. So features equals pd dot series model dot feature importance comma x dot columns dot sort values ascending equals false. Now features dot plot kind equals same type, that is bar, and title is feature importance. Let's run this now. It will take some time because this is a tree model and we have so much data, and we are also doing some cross validation. So we have the result now. So it is improved significantly. Before we have 4600, now we have 3300. And in the cross validation also around the same result as MSE. Here you can see the product category is higher, but here you can see gender is higher. So for each model, the feature importance is varies. So let's approach some other models like random forest. Let's import it quickly from sklearn.ensemble import random forest regressor. We will just copy and paste this. All the tree models will have the same code. So this will be random forest. Run this. So it is taking a long time to training the model. So I'll explain a few things in the meantime. So I'm using some basic models here. So you can also use some hyperparameter tuning to improve the model significantly. In my own time, I use some hyperparameter tuning. I will explore that in a separate video. So it will be a brief topic. I will be explaining different hyperparameter tuning methods. So if you use some hyperparameter tuning means it will greatly decrease the errors. So based on the data set, the tuning varies. So you can't use the same hyperparameters in all the data sets. So still it is running. And also, if you have so many features means based on this feature importance in the final deployment, you can eliminate some of the features. So these are some least significant features. If you eliminate means the model error or accuracy won't affect that much because it is least significance comparative to this important attributes. So based on the model, you can choose the corresponding attribute in your deployment. So if speed is needed for your model means you can eliminate some of the features. And also you can also create some new features from this data set. You have unique items in each category, right? You can count that unique items, like if you have age category means how many people are in the range of 0 to 17 age category. You can count all the things and add it as a separate column. So that is also considered as a feature. You can do this for all the categorical columns and use it as a feature. I used it, but it will increase the model slightly. You can use to improve the accuracy or decrease the error. I think because of the cross validation, it's taking more time. Already the data set has some like 5 lakh samples. In cross validation, if we have 5 split means it will train the model like 5 times. That's why it's taking huge amount of time. I think we need to wait for a while. We are just using 9 columns as a features. Consider if you use like 20 or 50 columns, the time taken will be so much higher and you need to wait for a long time even for a single model to run. That's the disadvantage if you have one hot encoding or some other encoding metrics. That's why I used label encoding. I just stopped the model because it is running for a long time and I think it's still in cross validation course. That's why. So I'll just use njobs equals -1. So using this hyperparameter, you can use all the cores in the CPU to train the model. That's the advantage of this. And you can also use extra trees regressor. I'll just use extra trees here from sklearn.ensemble import extra trees regressor model. Okay, I'll just use the code again. Extra trees regressor. Here also njobs equals -1. Okay, let's run this codes again. This too. It will definitely take some time to train the model. Even for parallel processing, it will take some time. In the meantime, I will just explain how to upload your test data to the contest. Many of the viewers are asked how to upload the test data and how to predict from the test data. So you are loading the X and Y, right? So from train, you are getting the same data set, but in the test state, you won't be having the purchase attribute. That is the output attribute. Apart from that, you will be having all those things. So one thing you can do is concatenate both the data sets. So that is train and test. Do all the pre-processing like we have did in this entire project. And in the end, like in the input split, here you can split the data set again, like train and test. So you can use the number of values in train and in the test to split the data set. That is one logic. Or you can also use the test data set directly using this pandas function. You can directly load the data set. And like this, you have to change the data set format. In the test data set also, you need to remove this user ID and the product ID. So purchase won't be there. So this will be the test data set. Let's consider this as X test. So if you have the test data set and the model means you will be say prediction equals model dot predict X test. So based on the input attributes, it will predict the output attribute, that is the purchase. So after getting the prediction variable, you need to convert this into a data frame. So what you can do is create a new data frame. Let's say submission. So this will be the file pd dot data frame. So this will create a new data frame. They will be saying some unique ID will be there. So submission of user ID, you will be using this user ID to indicate which ID it belongs to. So user ID equals, you can use the test user ID. Let's say X test of user ID. Okay, you have the user ID. Now you need to append the prediction output. So submission of purchase. Purchase equals prediction. So the prediction variable will have an array of values. This will add it to the data frame. If you display the values means it will look like this data frame. So this will have user ID and the purchase, the amount the user purchased. So like this, the submission file will be having. After converting this results into a data frame, you need to save the file, right? So for that, submission dot to CSV, the file name, let's say submission dot CSV, comma, index equals false. Why I'm using index equals false means most of the time if you save the data set means it will store this index values also 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this it will go on. So to avoid that I'm just saying index equals false. So this will save the file in the current directory, the program you are running, and you can upload this file into Kaggle or some other analytics website you want. So like this, you can use the test data to prediction. And apart from that, you can also predict for each individual input. For each individual input, you can input like this. So this outer array consider as a single sample because you need to push the data set as a whole. That's why. And again, inside this array, you need to input all the attributes that the input needs. So what we have here is gender, age, occupation, city category. Like this, you need to enter all the attributes in the same order as it is. You can also get this input from the user and convert it using label encoding, get the proper input and make a prediction. Like this, you can use some user defined input to do the prediction. This is xtest. So I won't be running this code because I don't have a test data set. I'll be coding in a live contest. So I'll be using the train test and the test data set to upload the results into an actual competition. And you can see the random forest is successfully run. So we have like 3000 MSC. Before in decision tree, we have around 3300. It is a improvement we got, and only extra trees regressor is running. Again, it will take some time. I'll just ignore that part. And apart from these modules, you can also use XGBoost, Gradient Boost, Light GBM, Cat Boost regressor. You can use any other model, and you can also use some deep learning models. So far, we didn't cover the deep learning model. I'll be covering deep learning models in the near future, so you don't need to worry. For now, I'm just using the base models to get the prediction. So finally, our extra trees regressor successfully trained the model. So we have 3100 and I think it is 3200. I think it is comparatively better than decision tree, not better than random forest regressor. So this is our final results. You can play as much as you want. So the future work will be hyperparameter tuning, using different models, creating new features, eliminating features, normalization. Like that, you can think of various methods you can do in this data set. So try to do as much as playing in this data set and leave a comment below if you find anything and if you have improved the model. It will be very useful for others to learn from you. And that's it, guys. I think this is the analysis we have done till now. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe the channel for future videos. Stay tuned for the new project. This is Ashwin signing off.